Just going to give it a second here.
Okay.
I think we're about ready to go. Do we have the recording going for the Zoom session?
It does show as recording under my name.
Excellent. All right. Let's get going here. So, hello everyone and welcome to our continuing customer success webinar series. Today's session is entitled Cloud Gateway for Hybrid Link Mode. These sessions are bi-weekly and available via Zoom invite as well as streamed live on Twitch TV and also then put up on YouTube afterwards. Alternating weeks will be a Twitch office hour session hosted by the customer success team discussing many aspects of our VMware Cloud offering. My name is Matt Vandenbeld. I'm a customer success architect on the VMware Cloud customer success team. On behalf of the VMware team, I would like to personally thank you for investing your time with us today. In today's session, we will go over the features and configuration for the Cloud Gateway appliance for hybrid link mode. This appliance simplifies the HLM process and offers some enhanced features. The Cloud Gateway appliance is a fairly new addition to the VMware Cloud on AWS service, and I'm excited to learn some more about it. Now I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Eric Huber. Eric is a cloud services engineer supporting and driving adoption for VMware Cloud on AWS. He joined Cloud Services after spending 2 years in VMware MCS VCS support as a system operations engineer, so he's very brave. He has extensive experience in vCenter, ESXi, vSphere, and vSphere SSO architecture. Currently, Eric is the support expert in hybrid link mode, or HLM, and is working on product enhancement and testing on the VMware Cloud on AWS HLM component from a customer's point of view. Before we all get this going, I'd like to remind everyone that they are muted. Please post questions using Q&A feature at the bottom of the Zoom window or in Twitch, or can tweet at me at evcloudmatt, and we will respond to them over the session. So, Eric, all over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. As Matt said, my name is Eric Huber, Cloud Services Engineer supporting VMware Cloud and AWS. For those of you who've already started utilizing the service, you may have talked to me via our chat function within VMC. And while I do support all of VMware Cloud on AWS, I do specialize in hybrid link mode, or HLM, as Matt said. And as in the intro, I'm here to talk today about a new method of configuring hybrid link mode for your SDDC called vCenter Cloud Gateway. A few of the points that I'll go over. I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional HLM concepts and in general what HLM is. I will discuss the differences between HLM from the cloud, which has been the traditional form of HLM, and HLM from Cloud Gateway. I will go over the Cloud Gateway architecture and some of the new services being offered in it and why that's important. And I will discuss the benefits of using Cloud Gateway versus configuring HLM from the cloud. I'm going to do a live demo for you guys today. I've stood up a staging environment that I have this deployed in, and I'll be able to show you how it works. And then we will save some time for Q&A to answer any of the questions that you may have. All right, so just to recap a little bit about what HLM is, as I mentioned before, it stands for hybrid link mode, and its purpose is to connect your on-premises data center with your VMC SDDC. And most of you will probably have an on-prem vSphere SDDC, as shown on the screen here. And some of you, or all of you, may have a VMware Cloud SDDC already spun up. These two SDDCs are completely separate from each other. They're different SSO domains, they're hosted in different geographical locations, they're managed completely separate from each other. The point here is that there's no connection at all. Management is done through the vSphere client in both your on-prem SDDC and in your VMware Cloud SDDC. So anyone familiar with vSphere will know this UI. It's the latest HTML5 client, and it is one of the benefits of VMware Cloud on AWS, and that it provides the same UI to you for management that you're familiar with in the on-prem space. Currently, HLM is set up from the VMC SDDC to the on-prem SDDC, and it connects the two environments much in the same way that enhanced link mode would connect two or more different vCenters in your on-prem environment. So after some initial setup, HLM is linked, and what this provides is a single pane of glass for managing both data centers utilizing the same UI that you're familiar with. So as we can see here, we get both vCenters, your cloud vCenter and your on-prem vCenter in one UI. This is an awesome management tool, and it has been around for quite some time in VMware Cloud on AWS for about a year now.
I think it was
And
actually one of the first features that we had.
I believe you're right, Matt. Yeah,
Do you think maybe we could touch upon so enhanced link mode and hybrid link mode are not the same thing, right? So
correct.
you maybe touch
Correct.
upon a little bit of the difference there.
So enhanced link mode is when you have multiple vCenters deployed into the same SSO domain on-prem. Okay, so for anyone not familiar with the vCenter architecture, you have a platform services controller that can be either external or embedded to the vCenter. And that creates an SSO domain, a single sign-on domain for that vSphere environment. If you were to deploy more than one vCenter into that same SSO domain, you would get a view very similar to what we see here, where you get to see all of your on-prem vCenters. And that has to do, again, with the utilization of a single SSO domain. And up until now, that's been the only way to get that kind of view in the same SSO domain. Um, HLM now bridges separate SSO domains. So that's one of the really cool features about HLM is it's the first time that we've been able to link two completely dispersed and separate SSO domains and have this same view.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we also have a special guest today attending, William Lam, who also put into chat. He has written a blog article for anybody that wants to go more in depth into that. But that was a great answer, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So right now, this what's important to notice about this scenario is we've linked from the cloud vCenter to your on-prem. And as a result, we force you to have to log into the cloud vCenter to come back and manage your on-prem. So this is where we try to address the inside or outside in management approach, right? So we listened to your feedback. Uh, Cloud Gateway did come as a result of customer feedback saying, I don't want to have to leave my on-prem to come back and manage my on-prem through this hybrid view. So to solve this, again, we developed a Cloud Gateway. And Cloud Gateway is a component of VMC that you deploy in your on-prem environment. So we can see we're just going to shift the vCenter over and we're going to deploy a new appliance called Cloud Gateway. And Cloud Gateway essentially is a stripped down VCSA, and it contains the same HLM services that you would normally only find in your VMC vCenter. So HLM works because we've developed new services, right? It's the first time, as I said before, that we've been able to bridge separate SSO domains into a single UI. New services were required to develop that and make that work. So Cloud Gateway contains all of those services. Um, as a side bonus, because this is deployed on-prem, I've seen a lot of customers who want to use custom FQDNs for VMC. And because Cloud Gateway is deployed on-prem, you get the benefit of choosing that. You get to choose your own FQDN and your own IP address to access the hybrid management interface. Also, when Cloud Gateway is deployed, it joins the same SSO domain of your existing on-prem vCenter. So going back to the enhanced link mode conversation, right? This joins that same SSO domain. So if you had 5 vCenters all in the same SSO domain, even without linking, if you logged into Cloud Gateway, you would see all 5 vCenters. And so that's a huge benefit, and also reduces the latency introduced from managing on-prem from the cloud. So then, once we've got Cloud Gateway deployed in on-prem, as we see here, we establish the link, but now we establish the link from Cloud Gateway to vCenter in the cloud. So this moves that hybrid UI, that single pane of glass, from the cloud to your on-prem. And this solves that outside in management approach. Now you never have to leave your on-prem to get a view of your cloud SDDC. So a few of the services and general architecture of the cloud gateway. There are some services that really make this magic possible, if you will. The first service that I'll talk about is the H5C service, or it's officially called vSphere-UI. If you were to access the appliance and look into the services. And it's responsible for the web server that provides the HTML5 web client for managing the vSphere environment. And the service is the same one that exists in on-prem deployments currently, but it is updated. So it's matching the code level of the VMC vCenter, because your VMC vCenter is running the latest and greatest versions of vCenter. The second service is the STS, or Secure Token Signing Service. Talking a lot about SSO here. This service has been around for some time in the on-prem space, and it handles the issuing of tokens called SAML tokens. And this is used for secure communication between the various components of a vSphere SSO domain. And because the Cloud Gateway joins your existing on-prem SSO domain, STS plays a key role here in communication between dispersed SSO domains. So these two services have been available for some time. They should be familiar to a lot of people who are familiar with vSphere. The next three are all new. So first, we have the Certificate Management Service. This service manages the local trusted routes, trusted root certs in both your on-prem and VMC. And to clarify that, the Certificate Management Service in Cloud Gateway will manage the on-prem root certs. The Certificate Management Service also resides in your VMC vCenter that manages the VMC vCenter trusted routes. In a link from cloud situation where this service does not exist in your on-prem space because there was no gateway, we had to sync LDAP data. And with this new service, we no longer have to sync LDAP data, and thus it increases security. We don't have to access into that data anymore and share it with our cloud vCenter. The next service is the Trust Management Service. This is responsible for creating trust objects that STS uses to perform the token exchanges. So this service essentially tells STS, hey, you can trust all these components from these different SSO domains, okay? And finally, where all the magic happens, is HVC Sync Service. This service is what actually establishes the hybrid link between the on-prem Cloud Gateway and the VMware Cloud vCenter. And it's responsible for the continual refresh of data. So a couple of the key features and benefits of Cloud Gateway. Cloud Gateway is a managed service that is included with VMC. As such, even though it's deployed in your on-prem, it is managed by VMware Cloud. And this includes items such as patching, upgrades, and monitoring of the appliance's health. I know there are going to be a lot of questions about this, so we will talk about this in more depth in a moment. The next feature is increased security. The Cloud Gateway is inherently, by its design, more secure than traditional HLM. It now uses multi-token authentication and establishes bidirectional trust between on-prem and VMC. This, coupled with the fact that the appliance resides in your on-prem data center, allows you to control access to that infrastructure component according to your company's best practices for security. Decreased prereqs. Traditional HLM had the prerequisite of having your Active Directory identity source added to the VMC vCenter prior to setting up HLM. This introduced another network component with connectivity directly to your Active Directory. And as a result, it could introduce more latency. It's just another connection, more traffic being sent over your IPsec VPN. With the Cloud Gateway, you do not need to have your Active Directory configured in your VMC vCenter. You do still have that option. Okay, if you still wanted Active Directory configured in your VMC vCenter, you can do so, but it is no longer a requirement for HLM to work. Simplified networking. This goes back to the previous point. Because we've removed that additional network config by removing the Active Directory requirement in VMC, we remove that extra traffic and simplify it to be solely between the Cloud Gateway and the VMC vCenter. And also, because Cloud Gateway is deployed in your on-prem SSO domain, you don't have the latency introduced when managing on-prem components from the cloud. And because you'll be managing your on-prem from a device that resides on-prem, everything is just snappier. It becomes much more like enhanced link mode, like we talked about before.
So just to jump in real quick, Patricia would like to add something. Another one of
Yeah.
our CSC team.
Sure.
So into second point, when it says that it's bidirectional, that means that you will be able to see the on-prem vCenter in VMC vCenter when you log into your on-prem vCenter, and also if you log into the VMC vCenter.
That is not correct. So
Okay.
I will get to that point, but to answer your question, there is a limitation in HLM right now, which is a one-way link. Okay, so it means that when setting up HLM from Cloud Gateway, the only way that you will get that hybrid view is by logging into Cloud Gateway. We are working on multiple links from multiple directions. That is a feature enhancement, but right now it's only one way. What I mean by bidirectional truss is the on-prem trusts the Cloud vCenter, and the Cloud vCenter trusts the on-prem vCenter. So communication between the two flows both direct. Well, that's not entirely correct. The trust goes both ways. Whereas before, when we were setting up HLM from the cloud, the trust is one way, meaning that the VMC vCenter trusts the on-prem, and it allows it to see the on-prem, right? But now we allow the trust both ways.
So you said then we said HLM in the Cloud Gateway that is on-prem, and that means that is trusting bidirectional, right?
Correct. Okay. And we will talk a little bit more about that later too. Last on this point, efficiency has also been improved. So in HLM from the cloud, the workflow to establish that link contained 10 plus steps. In linking from the Cloud Gateway, we've reduced the amount of workflow steps to mid-single digits. It's about 6, which ultimately results in a better experience, just more efficient. More efficient code, better experience. So, AutoUpdate. This we talked a little bit about earlier, and I know that there are a lot of questions about this. So we have here our on-prem on the right with Cloud Gateway in it and VMware Cloud on the left. As you can see, I've also added that we have a patch repository that's hosted in VMware Cloud that stores the latest patch levels for various components. There's an update service on the Cloud Gateway that periodically reaches out to the VMC vCenter, okay, and checks its code version against that vCenter to make sure they're on the same level. All right. Now, by setting up HLM, you've already established this link. Okay, so this is only talking to the vCenter and saying, hey, am I at the same level that you're at? If the VMC vCenter displays the same version that the Cloud Gateway is currently running, great. Nothing happens for a short period of time, and then the same process reoccurs. All right. During the cycle of version checking, if the Cloud Gateway reaches out and the VMC vCenter indicates that it's at a higher code level than the Cloud Gateway, it then reaches out to the patch repository within VMC still and downloads the latest bits available. Once the bits are downloaded, Cloud Gateway starts auto-updating, which may or may not require a reboot depending on the patch, and then it's done. It's now at the same code level as the VMC vCenter and resumes its normal checking process. The way we've designed this ensures security is maintained because we, and by we I mean VMware Cloud, we don't reach into your environment. Okay, we do not reach into your on-prem environments at all for updating. Instead, the Cloud Gateway reaches out to the environment that you already have a link established to anyway, to check its version and get those bits. All of this communication is trusted by the services that we talked about a few slides ago and is encrypted via your IPsec VPN that's required for HLM to work anyway. This method of updating allows the cloud gateway to fall under a managed service while still retaining the functionality and security of an on-prem component.
So we just had a follow-up question there real quick, Eric. So if it requires a reboot, it will advise the customer on completion of the upgrade that a reboot's required. Is that correct?
So we are currently working on notifications, and we are working on that in a number of ways. The first iteration will most likely be via email. So just like you get your maintenance emails for VMC that your SDDC will be updated, we'll have an update that Cloud Gateway will also be updated as part of that, right? Our future design would be a banner that actually shows up in Cloud Gateway that says, pending update, scheduled for this time, etc. We're not exactly sure how that's going to look just yet in the wording, but we are working on enhanced notifications for this auto update procedure. Also, just to be aware, I will mention this in a later slide, but Cloud Gateway is currently in preview, okay? So a couple of the requirements.
So just to touch maybe briefly upon preview, do you want to maybe give a little detail what preview means as opposed to generally available?
So I was actually going to talk about that.
Okay, I'll let you get to it.
Cool. So supported on-prem releases. For Cloud Gateway to function, your on-prem vSphere version needs to be at 6.5 patch D or higher. And or higher does include all versions of 6.7 all the way to the latest availability. By comparison, HLM from the cloud does work with 6.0 U3E or higher. So if your on-prem release isn't yet up to 6.5, I mean, you guys should really upgrade, just saying. I'm kidding. But if you aren't at 6.5 patch D or later, you will need to set up HLM from the cloud. Patricia, this is going back to your question. Currently, there's a one link limitation, okay? This limitation is an HLM limitation, not Cloud Gateway. We are working on this, and we will be allowing bi-directional links in the future. And Matt, to your point, pre-release. So pre-release means that we've made this available for everyone to download, but we're still testing and still looking for feedback on a lot of the features, okay? So anyone who has an SDDC currently can get this. If you log into your VMC SDDC and you open up your SDDC and go to the Tools tab, you can download it, okay? It's available to everyone. But we are still looking for customer feedback. We are still working out a few known issues. And our target delivery date for general availability with the product is VMC milestone 6. Okay, so we're currently in M5, but that's our current projected GA date. Matt, did you have anything else that you wanted to add for pre-release software? I guess not. All right.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. So I just wanted to add that all of the information related to the roadmaps for this is available publicly on our cloud.vmware.com website for anybody checking what stages these features are in and what's coming.
Perfect. All right. So now I would like to give you guys a demo of Cloud Gateway. Like I said, I've deployed a staging environment. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. And I will bring up my remote session. Matt, can you see my screen?
I can. And just a reminder, but this is as live as it gets. So.
Yep. So I ask for forgiveness should anything not work, as live demos sometimes do. But I have validated this multiple times. So we'll start here. This is our VMC vCenter, right? Cloud vCenter, everyone or those of you who are interested in will become familiar with. We've got our cluster, but this is a 3-node cluster, so this is fairly new, our compute and management resource pools. So let me show you over here. This is my on-prem vCenter. All right, I'll just go ahead and log in. I think that's the first time I've got that password right without having to retype it. So this version of on-prem is 6.5 update 2, okay? So we can see here, just a typical, normal vSphere environment, right? I've got 2 hosts running in it, a bunch of VMs. I created an HLM test VM, so I'm actually gonna do a cold migration for you guys. But we got on-prem, cloud, completely separate right now. This is our cloud gateway, all right? I'll show you over here. It's just a VM that's running in on-prem. Right here. So it's just like a normal appliance. I've given it a custom FQDN. So now I can go log into that FQDN. And because it joined my current SSO domain, I just log in with the same credentials. So this is the link domains page. It brings you right here. This is the same page that you would see in your VMC vCenter. If we go to administration, link domains, but you'll notice a difference, right? This wants the platform services controller of on-prem. This wants your vCenter server in the cloud. Also, I'll show you, because it's part of the same SSO domain, I already see my on-prem vCenter, and I can manage it as I would, just like I would from my actual vCenter. I see all my VMs, I can see all my networks, distributed switches, and port groups. So we'll come back over to the vCenter gateway, or vCloud, cloud gateway, sorry. We'll go to administration, and we're going to set up the link. So to do so, I come over here and I need to copy my FQDN and paste it here. We use the cloud admin at vmc.local credentials. So looks like it signed me out. I'll just have to sign back in. This is a great tour of the VMC console, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. So this is our internal lab. We have 2 SDDCs, but I'm linking to CSE01. And if I just hit Open vCenter, I'll get a pop-up here, which will allow me to copy the credentials. Live demos, I'm telling you. This worked for 3 different attempts before actually doing this. So look at the settings here, copy the credentials, paste. Now, pretty cool thing about Cloud Gateway. We've deployed it into our on-prem, all right? I have my identity source in vCenter set up as AD over LDAP, all right? When I deployed this, it assumed the same identity source, all right? So now I have my Active Directory in here, And just like setting up HLM from the cloud, I have to add an Active Directory group so that my users can authenticate and be added to the cloud admin role. So this one is called VMC on AWS. And also, just for fun, I'll add the administrators at vSphere.local group. And we link. This can take a few minutes. It takes about a minute in my testing. So if anyone has any questions, now would be a good time.
So there's a question in the chat here. Is the cloud admin at VMC.local account available to all customers, or is that probably for VMware team members? So no, the cloud admin is your account to access your SDDC. I don't know if you wanted to add some more context around that.
Yeah, I mean, to just echo what Matt said, it's the account that you are given as a customer when you sign up for the service. Because it's a managed service, we don't give you full administrative rights to the cloud SDDC and the cloud vCenter. What you get is the cloud admin user, which is exactly what the name says, a cloud admin. And it gives you access to manage all of your workloads and create logical networks, etc. So it's something that's readily available to you. Perfect. So we see that it's linked. We click OK, and it's going to log us out. And I will log in with my domain credentials. There we go. Sometimes this initial login can take a little bit after an initial link. One, it's the initial login with your Active Directory. It can have to parse through your Active Directory domain tree. If you have a large AD, it can take a little bit of time. Also, it's now adding the inventory from the cloud vCenter into this vCenter, so it can take a little bit. All right. So we'll go to the hosts and clusters view, and voila, we have both our cloud vCenter and our on-prem vCenter without ever having to leave our on-prem. This is one of the coolest features, I think, of VMware Cloud and AWS personally. I love this feature, the single pane of management. And to get this on-prem now is a huge benefit. And just like traditional HLM, we can even perform cold migrations. With that, keep in mind there are some prereqs and configuration steps that need to be in place, firewalls, etc. But I created a test VM for you. HLM test is pretty small.
Well, just to clarify that comment, Eric, you can also do live vMotions once this is configured as well, if you have a direct
Correct.
connect. If you have a direct connect,
So,
that's the kind of caveat there.
Yes, I have a slide later on that has some good references. William Lam, Virtually Ghetto, I'm sure a lot of you have read his blog. He's written some awesome articles on this. And
he also happens to be in the chat as well.
Yes, he does. Thank you for joining today, William. So please check out his articles and his blog posts on this. We'll send these links out to everyone who attended after the presentation. Also in there are some links to the HLM documentation, as well as the prereqs for setting up cold and live migrations for VMs with HLM. So because I don't have direct connect in my environment, I'm going to do a cold migration for you. We'll select our compute resource pool. So for those of you not familiar with VMware Cloud and AWS yet, this compute resource pool is where you have access to deploy virtual machines. Because we don't give you direct access to the infrastructure, so the vCenter, the hosts, we give you a resource pool. And when you deploy to this resource pool, we have DRS enabled in the cluster, and it will balance the workloads. but this is where we can move VMs. So we'll hit next. Also in VMware Cloud on AWS, we have vSAN storage, and the workload data store is what we have access to. Excellent question. So there's a question in chat. Do the APIs of the Cloud Gateway act just like a vCenter server? For example, would I be able to connect Power CLI to the Cloud Gateway to manage objects in both VMC on AWS and on-prem? So I don't know if you've ever used the API Explorer of vCenter, but the Cloud Gateway does have the same API Explorer. It does have the same APIs available to it as your Cloud vCenter as well. So cloud specific and vCenter specific. I personally have not tested Power CLI with the Cloud Gateway, but I don't see a reason why it should not work. William Lam, you might be able to answer this question better I don't know if you've tested the API with Cloud Gateway yet. Okay, so this is all in the Cloud vCenter. So we have access to the workloads folder here. So we're going to select that.
Just on the topic of the APIs, so think of the Cloud Gateway today primarily as a UI interface. For all API requests, so if you're talking to the vCenter server, when you want to connect to Power CLI, you're still connecting directly to the vCenter server itself. The Cloud Gateway is providing a proxy from a UI standpoint, but if you want to perform operations either on the VMC vCenter server and or the on-prem vCenter server, you would still point your Power CLI commandlets to the vCenter directly and not to the gateway itself.
Awesome. Thank you, William. Appreciate it. So here we're just selecting the logical network, one of the logical networks that we've created in our VMC. And we'll finish. Marianne has a question regarding the limitation for number of AD objects. Marianne, this is all going to be under the vCenter standard configurations. Okay, so if there's a limitation, it would be vCenter related and not necessarily Cloud Gateway related. And we can see here the vMotion, well, not vMotion, the cold migration is proceeding. There's another question. Since we linked both on-prem vCenter and SDDC vCenter on the cloud, and we could see all workloads, can we do an HCX on the same vCenter from on-prem workloads to cloud on the same vCenter? So if I understand the question, you're wanting to know if you can use HCX within the Cloud Gateway UI. Is that, if that's the way I understand it, then unfortunately at this time, we don't have an HCX plugin that is available in Cloud Gateway. So you can still have HCX, all right? So you deploy HCX in your VMC vCenter, you deploy HCX into your on-prem vCenter, but if you were to do HCX migrations, you would have to log into your on-prem vCenter and not the Cloud Gateway, or from your Cloud vCenter, because the plugin is not available in Cloud Gateway right now. This is a conversation that we have had internally about enabling this in Cloud Gateway. So we are having discussions on this for future release. Also, we can see our migration completed. It no longer resides in our on-prem. And if we go up to our compute resource pool of the cloud, you can see, if I can find it, ABCD. Wow, where'd it go? Right there. Okay. Yep. It's now in the VMC vCenter hosted in cluster 1 on this host in the compute resource pool, attached to the logical network that I assigned, and attached, residing on this vSAN data store. I will go ahead and move this back to show that migrations work both ways. But other than that, this is really what I wanted to show you. This is the complete demo the Cloud Gateway.
So there's a quick
And
question there, Eric. Sorry to jump in on you, but can you
sure.
migrate back to on-prem if my on-prem is 6.0 U3?
So if you're, to make sure I understand correctly, we wouldn't have been able to deploy Cloud Gateway at all if you're on-prem. Well, let me clarify that. You can deploy it, but we can't guarantee functionality of Cloud Gateway in on-prem versions of 6.0 U3E. Migrations do work in HLM in general to 6.0 U3E, but you have to have HLM set up from the cloud.
This will also most likely depend on if you've upgraded the VM hardware version
switches
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's some caveats to that. So, but short answer is yes. Well, short answer is no. Long answer, yes.
We can ignore that for now. We'll finish. And this migration actually goes much quicker than going to cloud. We'll let this finish. And then I'll just move back to PowerPoint for a quick moment to go over some of the resources and references that we'll be sending out to you at the end of this presentation via email. But other than that, I want to thank you all for your time today. I know you're all very busy, and I hope that this was beneficial to you all to show a new capability for HLM. And I hope that you get a chance to try this out. As you can see, we've got HLM no longer residing in the cloud, and it is now moved back to on-prem. So give me a minute. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're back to the presentation. So a few references. Again, calling out William Lam and Virtually Ghetto, his blog. He's done a fantastic job of describing Cloud Gateway and its use cases, what makes it different. The VMware documentation, this link goes straight to the HLM page, configuring HLM, and it does cover both Cloud Gateway now and HLM from cloud. Cloud services engineers, of which I am a member of, you can reach out to us anytime. If you have a VMC subscription and you're setting up an SDDC or you have an SDDC set up already, you have access to chat. We man those chats. We work with you guys on consultations, on issues. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time to ask questions about this and anything else that you may have regarding VMC on AWS. Another awesome article by William Lam is assigning default vCenter roles in VMC. So I'll talk a little bit about this right now. We do not allow custom roles within VMC right now. What we do allow are the default vCenter roles, such as read-only. So once you have an Active Directory set up, you can assign those vCenter read-only or vCenter default roles to your AD users, okay? This article goes over all that. Please take a look at it. And then HLM vMotion requirements. So this will go into the requirements for migration in general, cold or live. vMotions from HLM do have a few prereqs, including direct connect. So this will outline all of those. Any questions, guys? That's the end of my presentation and demo to you. Again, I hope it's been beneficial, and I just would like to open it up to you all now to answer any questions that you may have that weren't asked beforehand.
And while we're doing that, I just also launched the polling from Zoom. If you can give us your impressions before you leave and suggest any topics you want for the future as well, that would be great. I don't see any questions rolling in. So I just want to remind everybody that we do these webinars weekly. We kind of alternate between a presentation and demo type scenario, like we did today, and then next week we'll be doing what we call an office hours, so that's for anybody to jump in and just ask us any questions that they may have, or anything of interest to them, and we can go over it with the customer success team led by me. So, Joseph, what if we don't have anything to improve? That's fine. Just tell us. That's even better. Um, and I appreciate very much, Eric. Do you have a Twitter account out there? I didn't have it up on the stream, but anywhere to follow you on social media or get anything else?
I am on Twitter, but I'm not very active. I can send that link out though after this, and we can include it in the follow-up email.
Sounds good. I have a Twitch question that I'm just going to be answering here as well. Other than that, it looks like if nobody else has any questions, I'd like to thank again very much Eric for coming out. I'd like to thank William Lam for coming out and answering some questions as well. I think this is an exceptional series. This will be going up on YouTube as well. I believe it's part of the link that we send out afterwards for everybody, and you can consume it and watch it at your leisure. And again, yeah, thanks everybody. And I guess with that, we'll end today's call. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you very much.